What does that mean to be a self-determined learner, and how is it a change from what we typically see in many schools?
The notion of self-determined learning is that students learn how to, in fact, teach themselves as opposed to somebody else teaching them. Self-determined learning focuses on students actually having a meaningful voice in what they learn, how they learn, when they learn, what ways in which they learn. And, particularly, and Young can talk more eloquently about this, but, in current and future circumstances, it's, both globalization, global education, 21st century education, they all require more of students to be able to learn themselves, to self-determined learning. And so we felt that it was important to begin to have that discussion. And we think that the pandemic probably illustrated the fact that there are a lot of students out there who weren't prepared to self-direct and self-determined learning.
Yeah, I just would like to add that I think Mike is right. Just if you think about COVID-19, what we're experiencing now, when students are on their own, and they will eventually have to be on their own, they have to learn to manage their own learning enterprise. We've been talking a lot about lifelong learning, but lifelong learning starts with when we are very young. After high school, somehow we believe children can self-determine, and we suddenly give them the right to do so. But for a long time in K-12 schools, typically children are not given the rights to make decisions actually about what to learn, how to learn, how much they want to learn, and when they want to learn, and how do they want to demonstrate that they have learned something. So I think the book Mike and I worked on was really trying to chart a new way to say, what if we treated students as, first of all, having the right to self-determination, second of all, need the opportunity to exercise self-determined learning, and third of all, that they need support to become what we would like to be socially responsible, self-determined learners.
Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. So it seems like the subject is kind of more relevant than it's ever been. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I think it accelerated what we already knew and provided a very stark example of the fact that in many ways, the way that schools are structured and in which the enterprise of education occurs is almost dependency creating. And so when students were all of a sudden at home and they were needing to learn and to engage, they didn't have both the skills and the experiences that enabled them to say, I know how to do this. I know how to self-regulate learning. I know how to figure out what's important. I know how to, engage with problems in a meaningful way without somebody standing over me or directing me very explicitly.
Dependency, I think that's a term we want to use a lot because in schools, we try to create that dependency on adults. Really, individuals, if you look at every individual strive to survive, to live a better life, to live prosperously. And they had that tendency when they were born, but then once they go to school, they forget about that. If you look at right now, how often, honestly, teachers are trying to manage students. That's a lot, how to manage students. Why don't you learn? Why don't you want to learn? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Individuals, if we were wild animals, Ken, you would want to learn. You want to survive, right? You want to survive in many ways. And that survival, that survival is about self-determination to manage your own learning.